It's 2016, and Washington, D.C. is a powder keg. Leaked emails, panicked elites, and Seth Rich, a young DNC staffer and a man of conscience, discovering the dark truth about a world far worse than his worst nightmares. Then, on a warm July night, 2 bullets to the back end his life on a quiet street. A botched robbery, they claim, yet nothing was stolen. For years, the official story held, propped up by media disinformation and an FBI cover-up. But now the cracks are showing. The people are waking up. The truth is clawing its way to the surface, and the cover-up is collapsing. DNC whistleblowers are emerging from the shadows, risking everything to set the record straight. Because when you finally understand what Seth Rich uncovered, you'll see why Washington is still desperate to keep it buried. This cover-up isn't just about protecting secrets, it's about elite survival. They know that when the truth comes out, their entire house of cards goes up in flames. Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is a digital space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. And sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cybernation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. Seth Rich, you know the name, you know the story. Well, his records were supposed to be released to the public on March the 10th, just days from now. But guess what? The DOJ just slammed the door shut, declaring that Rich's records are so dangerous they must not be made public. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. This isn't just a delay, this is a cover-up, and it's exposing everything rotten to the core of Washington, D.C. So let's peel back the layers of this thing and let's go back to where it all started. Picture this. It's July 2016, the early hours in Washington, D.C.'s Bloomingdale neighborhood. Seth Rich, a 27-year-old staffer at the Democratic National Committee, is walking home. The city's hum a faint backdrop. Suddenly, shots ring out. Seth collapses, 2 bullets in his back. The official story? A botched robbery. Except nothing was taken. Not his wallet stuffed with cash, not his phone, not even his expensive watch. And here's the kicker, his killer never found. Nearly 9 years later, the case is still as cold as ice. Now, if that's where the story ended, it would be tragic enough. But this is where it gets weird. Seth's death came just weeks after WikiLeaks dropped a bombshell. Thousands of internal DNC emails, thousands of John Podesta's emails leaked to the world. Those emails? They showed the DNC had rigged the 2016 Democratic primaries to hand the nomination to Hillary Clinton, screwing over Bernie Sanders in the process. The fallout was immediate. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the DNC chair at the time, resigned in disgrace.
Ms. Schultz, were you involved in the murder of Seth Rich? Did you order Seth Rich's murder, Ms. Schultz?
Many were whispering, was Seth Rich the source? Was he the whistleblower who fed those emails to WikiLeaks?
Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean, but was he one of your sources then? I mean, but was he one of your sources then? I mean, but was he one of your sources then?
James Comey's FBI, though, had a different take, and they've held onto it tight. No leak, they said. It was a hack, plain and simple. Russia, right out of the Kremlin, broke into the DNC servers and passed the goods to WikiLeaks. Done deal, right? Well, not quite. Along came Bill Binney, former NSA technical director, and a guy who's seen the guts of cyber operations up close. He blew the whistle, and what he brought to the table flips the FBI story on its head. No Russian hack, he says. The forensic data, hard, cold evidence, shows those DNC files didn't just float off into the cloud. they were grabbed fast right there on site in the DNC onto a physical drive. Then someone walked them over to WikiLeaks.
So that's exactly the property we found in all that data posted by WikiLeaks. Now that said, very simply, this data was downloaded to a storage device, a CD-ROM or a thumb drive, and physically transported before WikiLeaks could post it. So that meant it was not a hack. So no matter how you look at it, we're looking at the forensic evidence that says the DNC emails were not hacked. They were downloaded and physically transported to WikiLeaks.
The demonstrably false Russian hack narrative kicked off years of chaos. Sham investigations into Donald Trump's campaign, the Mueller probe, the whole Russian collusion circus that held the attention of normies for years. Spoiler alert, after years of mainstream media hype, Mueller's team, the House Intel Committee, the FBI, all concluded there was no collusion. Zilch, nada. But here's where it gets juicy. Evidence from the CIA dug up years later suggests that Hillary Clinton herself greenlit the Russia hoax. She approved it as a distraction from her own litany of scandals. Stir up a little chaos, point the finger at Moscow, hobble the duly elected president, and watch the headlines do the rest. So, where does Seth Rich fit into all of this here in 2025? Nearly a decade after that fateful night, why does his name still linger? Like an open wound the establishment refuses to let heal. Because the cover-up runs far deeper than leaked DNC emails or the long-debunked Russia hoax. There's a whistleblower inside the DNC right now. Somebody who knows exactly what happened to Seth, and somebody who's risking everything to speak out. And they're saying that Seth wasn't just silenced to send a message about leaks. His murder was part of something even darker. John Podesta's own leaked emails prove just how paranoid they were about their secrets getting out, and just how far they were willing to go, spelling it out in chilling detail. We need to make an example of a suspected leaker, whether or not we have any real basis for it. Here's the real twist. Seth Rich didn't see the rigged primaries as the real bombshell of his leaks, though that alone was enough to shake the foundations of the DNC. No, when he handed over John Podesta's emails, Seth knew he'd uncovered something far darker, something so explosive that the media, the intelligence agencies, and the entire political machine scrambled to bury it.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us. And in full disclosure, let's take a look at what is in there and what it means. Joining us now, CNN's, it's illegal to possess. Different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
Why? Because this wasn't just about party politics or election meddling. This was a secret so sinister, so untouchable, that exposing it could bring down the most powerful figures in Washington. And for that, Seth had to be silenced.
When it comes to things that are rock solid and clear, like that Seth Rich was murdered and people want to ignore it, I'm like, what the f do you think happened? There has to be some sort of a disconnect here. When a person is giving information to WikiLeaks that exposes corruption inside the very organization that's responsible for the Democratic Party, and he gets murdered, and you're like, oh, the conspiracy theories. No, he got murdered. There's no conspiracy. It was a botched robbery. Says who? Says who? Where's his? How come his wallet was there? How come his watch was there? How come they didn't take his phone? What the f are you talking about that I'm a conspiracy theorist when I just tell you the facts? So and this WikiLeaks thing with Julian Assange is the craziest shit ever, when he said there's consequences to sharing information with us. And everybody's like, he works for Russia now. He works for Russia. So he was the darling of the left when Obama was in office.
Seth Rich, according to those in the know, tore back the veil on what we now call Pizzagate. And for that, they didn't just teach him a lesson, they wiped him from the board. So, is this the unvarnished truth, or just another strand in a web of official cover-ups and desperate lies? That's what we're hunting down, with the help of a DNC insider, right after this important word from our sponsor. The deep state are at war with the Trump administration. In response to Trump's promise to usher in a new golden age, the globalists have begun wrecking the markets and crashing the global economy. That's why top billionaires around the world have already dumped over $133 billion in stock.